So you think you can tell heaven from hell, blue skies from pain? Can you tell a green field from a cold steel rail, a smile from a veil? Do you think you can tell? Did they get you to trade your heroes for ghosts, hot ashes for trees, hot air for a cool breeze, cold comfort for a change? And did you exchange a walk-on part in the war for lead rolled in a cage? How I wish you were here, 'cause we're just two lost souls swimming in a fishbowl, year after year, running over the same old ground. Where have we found the same old fears? I wish you were here.
Well, good evening and welcome to another Restore Live. Restore Live going out on a Wednesday evening, and what a day that it has been. Did we think that it was coming to this? Well, obviously we did. Some of us were talking about it the past year. And if you know where the end destination is, well, you can see the various mechanisms that are being used in order to encourage people, in order to corral people towards the destination that the politicians that you have elected into place, well, they won't have the same restrictions placed on them as you do. You know, it's a bridge too far whenever people seek to remove freedom. It started off with freedom of speech, freedom of expression. You know, your right to criticize bad law, your right to point out corruption as and where that you would see that corruption. And it was never nipped in the bud. And where have we got to today? Well, in the Irish Republic and in Scotland, they are already down that rabbit hole in terms of that there is mass discrimination going on in terms of who that it is that's permitted privileges from within society. And isn't it unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable, that your politicians, your politicians would vote this into place. Okay, the DUP, the ministers from within the assembly, I believe there were 10 in total, and six voted to discriminate against those that have their absolute right to not put things into their body that they don't want to put in. And yet these dictators, they're voting to ensure that you must do as they tell you. 10 MLAs, Naomi Long, Conor Murphy, Michelle O'Neill, the SDLP lady, what is it they call her? Can't remember her name, Nicola Mallon. Then we have what is supposedly an Ulster Unionist, Robin Swan. Who else is the minister or ministers? Well, apparently that we have 10 in total, and is there 4 DUP ministers? Who are they? Are they Edwin Poots, Paul Given? And without even thinking of who these people are, is that the DUP, you see, they can block this. They can block this. And to me, it is a bridge too far whenever politicians that you would elect into place, whenever they seek to discriminate, number one, against people, whenever they seek to force people to take something that hasn't been trialed and tested in the way that it should be done. What was it that these same people had said previously whenever they were trying to push into place the abortion rights for women? Well, they were saying that it was the woman's body, it was the woman's choice. That's what they said. These same people that would force others to take something that they don't want to take for various reasons, I may add. There are some people that particularly don't want to take medicine whenever they clearly don't need it, and they don't expect to be discriminated against. I mean, what gives these dictators the right to tell you what you have to put inside your body? Bodily autonomy is a huge thing, and if you don't own your body, if you can't decide what it is that you put inside your body, well, then who does own the rights to your body? And if it's this particular thing that they're trying to force into you now, if it's this now, what is it going to be next? Now, the DUP, they can actually block this, but we don't expect much more of the UUP, because the Ulster Unionist Party are dangerous. The Ulster Unionist Party are extremely dangerous. Make no mistake, the Ulster Unionist Party are totally dangerous. And why is it that they're like this? Well, you could search the reasons as to why these people would seek to dictate to you what it is that you can and you cannot do. Is it that these people are power hungry and they would do anything to get their hands in power? Things have to be managed differently than what they're being managed now. And of course, we see this happening right across the world, right across the Western world, where people's rights, people's freedoms, people's privileges are being taken away right before our very eyes. I've been talking about this for quite some time. I could take you back 4, 5, 6 years ago when I would have been claiming that we were heading towards an open prison. And you may have seen the pictures on that little video clip there with that little song attached. You may have seen it was a picture that I took whilst at Auschwitz, the concentration camp in Poland. And that was a picture showing the watchtower and the gates and, the railings looking towards Auschwitz. Whenever I visited Auschwitz, and we entered the place, and the very first thing that I seen on a wall was a sign. And this sign said, "Those that forget the past are condemned to repeat it." We were promised that this would never happen again. We are told that we live in a free, open, liberal democracy. That's before that we have a conglomerate of minorities telling the majority what it is that they can and they cannot do. Now, let's just lay this out bare for a few moments. Let's understand very, very carefully what it is that I'm trying to get at here. There are people, for their own reasons, that they don't want to put things into their body that is highly, let's just say that it's highly controversial. There's a huge suspicion with reference to reasons as to why that you would be forced to take something that you don't want to take. There are people, they make their own choices. They make their own choices because why? Because they have bodily autonomy. There are others, they for their own religious beliefs, their own religious reasons, well, also, they may not want to put something into their body. There are people looking at the circumstances surrounding what is happening right now, and they, in another group of people, they're looking at the situation whereby that, well, if anything goes wrong, is there anyone held responsible? Well, no. We know that the makers of what it is that people want to put into other people's body, well, the makers, they have, they're exonerated from any claims. And this was actually said at the very, very start. So for their own reasons, lots of people do not want to take what it is that the likes of Naomi Long, the likes of Robin Swan, the likes of Nicola Mallon, the likes of Conor, whatever they call him, the leader of the SDLP here, Conor Murphy from Sinn Féin, Michelle O'Neill from Sinn Féin, and that conglomerate. There are people for their own reasons that would respectfully say to those people, you do what you want, but don't expect others to follow. And I'm absolutely sure that there are Sinn Féin voters today. There are SDLP voters today. Of course, there are DUP voters that are looking at this sham of a criminal gang headquarters just off the Upper Newton Ards Road in Belfast. And let me clarify why that I call it a criminal gang headquarters. That's because it's occupied by a criminal gang. It's occupied by people who had guns on the streets in 2019. Mr. Rooney, Lower Falls, the associations with Sinn Féin, well, they had their guns out on the streets of the Falls in 2019. And ask yourself a question. What sensible, reasonable democracy would have such a thing? And now, to add insult to injury, they're telling you, they're telling me, they're telling everyone else that unless you do what they say, well, you you will lose your privileges. You will not be able to participate in society in the same way that others do. And for me, people, that is totally unacceptable. Totally, totally, totally unacceptable. And when I listened to Paul Frew today, the DUP, I think he's an MLA, when he said that he'll have no passport ever in his hand, and I'll paraphrase when I say that he would fight totally against this. Well, I'm sure there's a lot of people in Northern Ireland that would be exactly the same and have exactly the same thought processes as Mr. Frew. So respectfully, I say to our politicians, you have overstepped the mark. You have assumed a responsibility that isn't yours to assume. There is inalienable rights. And what you people are doing is you people are being directed by outsiders to I'm going to say incarcerate society. And let's make no mistake about it, is that it doesn't matter whether you take this or whether you don't take this, that they want to force upon you. It doesn't matter why you've already taken it. It doesn't matter why you take the upgrade and the upgrade and the upgrade. The decade of upgrades is what was being talked about from 2010. It doesn't matter why you take those decade of upgrade preventable diseases. It doesn't matter why you take them upgrades. And I'm using words very, very carefully here to try to sidestep some algorithms. But it doesn't matter why you take that or whether you don't take that, because the goalposts will be moved. They will be moved and they will be moved again. There are so many agendas at play here that it's very, very hard to keep a watch and keep an eye on what is coming down your line at the next turn. We see that in 2020, whenever people went into lockdown, well, they say that what happened was that they reduced the carbon emissions by over 7%. I'm not going to quote the exact here, but they say 7 point something of a low number percent. That's how much that the lockdowns had reduced carbon emissions. They say that they want 70% carbon emission reduction by 2030. Now, I can remember whenever I heard that they reduced carbon emissions by just over 7%. Well, I'm not a mathematician, but certainly I can count. And I done a quick calculation and I went, well, if we lock down in the same way every year between now and 2030, we'll arrive at the 70% target. Why don't your politicians actually tell you what it is that they're working on and working at behind your backs? Why don't your politicians be upfront and honest with you about the things that they're putting in place? Why do you think that people don't trust them? Why do you think that people are becoming more skeptical as the day goes on? Now, that was a broad brush looking at the entire Stormont House on the Hill in terms of what it is that we have, which passes for politicians. Now, what is a politician, you ask? A politician is someone who you elect to serve and protect you. And when you have a politician that is a minister in, for example, Stormont, well, you see, they sign up to a ministerial code, and their ministerial code suggests that they're there to serve and protect you, no matter why that you voted for them or you didn't. But these people have assumed a role that they weren't put into place to do. You see, I'm a great believer in you don't force people to do anything. I'm a great believer in you get the best out of people whenever you work with people, whenever you're upfront and honest with people, whenever you're absolutely straight about where that it is that you have to go. And people are generally accepting of reasons whenever they would see things laid out bare. But how many times have you heard that these people from within your assembly, well, what is happening is that they don't want to give you the facts, and they don't want to give you the figures, and they hide statistics. And why do they do that? They beef up statistics. They exaggerate statistics. And I've got to be very, very careful about some of the words that I'm using. But you know something? I can stand here with my hand in my heart, or sit here with my hand in my heart, knowing that I'm speaking with authority whenever I speak the way I do, because I do a lot of research. I look at things on a daily basis. I'm tuned into politics more than most people, I would suggest. And some of the things that are being pushed in the name of representation, well, it absolutely beggars belief. The Ulster Unionist Party, we don't expect any different from those people. Mug Beattie, under the control of Mug Beattie. Let's just look at a few things as to what it is that the Ulster Unionist Party are trying to. Now, these people are not even elected. Well, they are elected, but what I'm aiming at there, I'll refresh my words. These people they don't represent very many people. They're not very popular. If you look at you go to their social media platforms, and you'll see their 4 likes and 3 shares. These people are not popular whatsoever. They have an in-house of people that surround them on the promise of getting their feet under a table and getting a good job and getting a good salary. They have this little team that surrounds them that are yes men and yes women. And the dictator, Mug Beattie, who took control of the Ulster Unionist Party, and who said, basically, and I'm paraphrasing when I say this, it's my way or the highway. If you don't want to go on this woke agenda with me, is what Doug Beattie was emphasizing, well, you can leave the party. Now, who does Doug Beattie think he is? This is the Ulster Unionist Party, the party of Carson, a party with a whole lot of history, and between I guess Mike Nesbitt, Robin Swan, Doug Beattie, Submarine Steve, between these 4 people, what they have done is they have taken the Ulster Unionist Party and extended the job, I guess, that David Trimble had already started. Who remembers the Belfast appeasement, the Good Friday Agreement known to others? Who remembers the British Unionist people here in Northern Ireland, by and large, screaming that they didn't want this, that, why would we have unrepentant terrorists in our government whenever they retained their arms? And, and the people that had suggested this and stated this very, very clearly, well, they were vindicated, because as we've seen last year and the year before, and in 2016, when the same crowd, when they murdered 2 people, one in the markets and one in Short Strand, we've seen their guns being brought out into the street. On the run up to the Belfast appeasement, we seen Bill Clinton standing at the Mackey's factory in December of 2000, December of, let me get my dates right here, 1996 or 1995. I'll start that again. We seen Bill Clinton stand at Mackey's factory in the Springfield Road in December of 1995. And we seen Bill Clinton saying that, we have to put the years of bitterness and hatred behind us, and reach out and make amends for the bitterness and the hatred of the past. And at the same time, Bill Clinton's special advisors were being told in a place called Clonard Monastery that the IRA ceasefire was over. Fast forward to January of 1996, February of 1996, I've got to get my dates right here, and there was a bomb that the same IRA grouping, what they placed in Canary Wharf, the Docklands in London, causing £500 million worth of damage as a means to extract concessions from the British government. And from that day to this, what we've seen, what British Unionists have seen, is an appeasement process which only cares about things whenever Republicans complain. Whenever Republicans say that they don't want a border between Ireland and Northern Ireland, where the actual border is, we see the British government move to facilitate and to place a border between the people of Northern Ireland and England and Scotland and in Wales. And we see the weak-willed politicians that we elect, we see them not making any meaningful or proactive protest. But you see, these were the things that David Trimble overlooked. He overlooked the Canary Wharf bomb. He overlooked the fact that the IRA had to be part of the process, no matter what they done, no matter how they done it. They had to be brought back into the process again, which had shown from 1996, February 1996, that this was surely a one-sided process. But the Ulster Unionist Party, because they had their hands on the levers of power, they decided that they would press on regardless. Now, when what they should have done was they should have actually withdrawn. They should have said, we can't be taking part in a one-sided appeasement process. And believe me, people, you would soon have seen that one-sided appeasement process. Well, you'd have seen it being put right, because let's remember, as the head of naval intelligence had said in and around that time frame, that they had the IRA on the ropes. They had informers everywhere. And, you know, I seen an article from last year when the IRA, whenever they broke into, and I believe that they were permitted access to Castlereagh, where they stole the intelligence documents with all their own informers in these documents. And what they learned from those documents was that, well, there were too many informants for the IRA to do anything about. In fact, there was informers absolutely everywhere. And then we got some information from a very, very well-placed source, a journalist, just a few weeks ago, that actually was the case. And that came from a leading IRA figure to him. So you see, whenever naval intelligence had said they had them on the ropes, they had informers everywhere. And then Phony Blair, well, he took up the mantle after John Major. And what he did was he let them off the ropes. And he laden these people with pleasantries. It just continued. It continued and it continued. Well, and it has never stopped from that day until this. And you see, that is what the Ulster Unionist Party facilitated from the 1996 period going forward. And what did the British Unionist people in Northern Ireland do to these people as a result? Well, you see, they resigned the Ulster Unionist Party to the dustbins of history. They made them unelectable. And they've tried to reinvent themselves over the years in many, many more ways than one. And, you know, I honestly believe that the best leader that they had from the days of Davy Trimble and those sellout merchants that were involved with Davy Trimble, Some of them now having repackaged themselves and are now running other organisations, which beggars belief. You know, the days of Davy Trimble and his merry band of sellout merchants, well, you see, the British Unionist people, they voted with their feet, and they paid these rollover merchants, they paid them in the way that they should be paid. And that was by, well, at the next election, the Ulster Unionist Party were decimated, absolutely and utterly decimated. And the good people of Northern Ireland, they got behind the DUP. And on the promise that the DUP would never let them down, on the promise that the DUP would smash Sinn Féin, on the promise. And this is all that I would have asked for, on the promise that the DUP would stand up for the British Unionist people here in Northern Ireland. And as we've seen, those promises, well, they haven't been kept. And those promises are looking like far off memories as each and every hour, each and every day, each and every week, each and every month, each and every year passes. Now here we're in a situation today in November of 2021 when we look right across what is available to us as British Unionists. What is available for us to place our vote with? Who can we trust? Well, we'll talk about that in a minute, but I can certainly say who that we can't trust. The UUP. The UUP are completely and utterly dangerous. They are following what is known as a woke agenda. What is the woke agenda? Well, let me explain, people. Let me explain about this woke agenda that you'll see destroying the fabric of society right across the Western world. The woke agenda includes a thing called cancel culture. Who knows what cancel culture is? Cancel culture is where that people with the wrong type of views, with the wrong type of beliefs, with the wrong type of allegiances. Cancel culture is the art of ensuring that those people don't have a voice, ensuring that those people don't have a job, ensuring that those people don't have a place in society. And this was never stopped from the day and hour that it started. And we have the Ulster Unionist Party, the dangerous Ulster Unionist Party, who promote this cancel culture by the things that they align themselves to on a daily basis. Let me give a few home truths. And I said on the title that we would do this. Mug BEATTIE. I have to take my hat off to him for his service as a veteran, but that's where my pleasantries towards Doug Beattie would stop. It would stop right there. I can remember a real war hero, a man called John Ross, who's involved with the DUP right now. I can remember that John Ross and some people, they decided that they would hold a protest outside the BBC in Belfast in respect of standing up for and highlighting the persecution and the prosecution of soldiers A to Z. On that same day, there was a gay pride march in Belfast. In attendance was Sinn Féin. In attendance was the SDLP. In attendance was the Alliance Party. In attendance was Mug BEATTIE, was Mike Nesbitt, was the others in the Ulster Unionist Party who have attached themselves to this wokery in order that they could gain themselves a vote. When they can't get votes from anywhere else, they'll attach themselves to anything in order that they can gain a vote. And this is exactly who the Ulster Unionist Party have become. They have become a disgrace. They have become, as in the words of that famous Marx brother. Who remembers the Marx brothers? Groucho Marx. What did he say? He was standing to be a politician. And when he was standing, he said, here's my principles. If you don't like them, I've got others. And that to me absolutely typifies who the Ulster Unionist Party have become. They are lacking in principle. They are void of principle. Yeah, of course, that they say that they want to do this and they want to stand up for the union. But now for some more home truths. On the day that John Ross stood in protest of the persecution and prosecution of soldiers A to Z outside the BBC in Belfast, Mug Beattie was flying his rainbow flag, promoting the LGBT plus movement. If you're gay, I have nothing against you, but what I do have something against is the likes of Mug Beattie getting his priorities totally and absolutely wrong. And not just there, but what should be the leader of the Ulster Unionist Party's priority, you ask? Protecting the people of Northern Ireland, ensuring that Northern Ireland remains part of the United Kingdom, standing up and defending and protecting in a way that goes against anyone or anything that comes against our way of life. That should be the task of the Ulster Unionist Party. But this Ulster Unionist Party, from Mike Nesbitt to Robin Swan to Steve Aiken and now to Doug Beattie, well, it is progressively, and I will use those words very, very specifically, it is progressively got worse. It is progressively went further down a rabbit hole, has progressively lost the plot entirely. These people are they're prepared to do anything in order to gain themselves a little bit of power. That's my accusation to the Ulster Unionist Party. And whenever I look at politicians, let me make something very, very clear here. I look at politicians and I think, when I elect a politician, when a politician stands for election, he's putting himself out there to be tackled if he does the wrong thing, to be criticised, for it to be pointed out that he's making the wrong decisions, he's making the wrong moves, he's involved in corruption, he's pushing into place something that is corrupt. He's working within a system that facilitates a criminal gang that has guns outside the door and has a huge organisation of criminals attached to them. That is my absolute right as a citizen in a democracy to say what I just said there. It is my absolute right to point out corruption, to point out where freedoms would be removed, to point out the people that are behind the removal of the freedoms. It is my absolute right to criticise politicians or political parties. But here we have the bizarre circumstances whereby that they are using lawfare. Now, let me say that again. They are now using lawfare against citizens who would criticise them for the wrong decisions that they are making. And they're doing this under some emergency legislation. Then we look at how that they are about to pass in Northern Ireland this so-called emergency legislation, which will discriminate against anyone that would be only taking up what it is that some of these politicians, most of these politicians that are forcing this, would have said just a few years ago. What did they say? They said, what did Naomi Long say? Naomi Long says that it's your body, it's your choice. What did the Sinn Féiners say? It's your body, it's your choice. What did the Ulster Unionist Party, Wokarati, say? Well, they were on the side of your body, your choice, largely. You know, all these people like the SDLP, the Sinn Féin, the Alliance Party, the Greens, and the Ulster Unionist Party. That's the Wokarati within the Ulster Unionist Party. All these people were saying it's your body, it's your choice. And now these hypocrites are now saying that it's not your body, it's not your choice. You will do as we tell you, or you will lose your job. You will be excluded from society. Now, am I going overboard here? Am I going over the top by saying this? Of course I'm not, because we all know what the agenda is. We all know what's coming. And believe me, people, what is heading and coming down your line is total control of a population. Total control. I'm going to use a verse of scripture here. And no matter why you believe in the Bible, you don't believe in the Bible, I have to say that this verse of scripture, to me, stands out above all others. You know, now, no matter why you believe in God, or you don't, but you believe in, you know, heaven, hell, as the song would have said at the start that we played. You know, can you tell the difference between heaven and hell? No matter why you believe in that or you don't, you know, I honestly believe under the system of Judeo-Christian values, I believe that I would choose that any day of the week, as opposed to what it is that these politicians that are there to serve and protect you. I would choose Judeo-Christian values over what it is that they're forcing into place any day of the week and twice on a Sunday. Now, let me explain why. You see, the cornerstone of Judeo-Christian values is a thing called free will. Free will, your right to choose. What does it say in the Bible? Let's quote a few verses of scripture. Choose you this day whom you will serve. It doesn't say that you must serve God. It doesn't say that you have to serve. It doesn't say that you would be excluded from serving. It just says, choose you this day whom you will serve. Now, I like that. I like that. I'll tell you why I like that. It's because that gives me free will. Free will to serve what it is that I choose, what it is that you choose, you have that right to. And that is the cornerstone of Judeo-Christian values. Now, what's the opposite of that? The opposite of that is totalitarianism. And if you listen to the stories in the Bible from old, well, what did it talk about? It talked about, you know, God. It talked about the devil. It talked about God. It talked about the beast. And there's a verse of scripture, and it's from Revelations chapter 17 and verse 18. And listen very carefully, because I think that this verse is very, very fitting for what is happening today. And no matter why you believe in that Bible or you don't, you've got to see this system that is being forced into place as a beast that means people absolutely no good. It says this in 17 and 18, Revelations. It says, for God has put it in their hearts to hand their kingdom on to the beast until the words of God, they shall be fulfilled. Now, if you're a Christian, maybe you know that verse of scripture. Maybe you know it. And I look at what's happening today, and I scratch my head when I see full countries, you know, handing the power in their country onto globalization, being dictated. Governments that we elect, politicians that we elect, are now being dictated to by academics. We all know that academia has been infiltrated by Marxism, and you won't get a job in academia these days. And if you're in academia, well, you'll be railroaded out if you don't have the right thought processes, and if you're not talking the language in the way that you should. and that we can show. And in fact, what we will do is that we'll do some shows here on Restore to bring some academics on who have been excluded from universities, to bring people, students of universities, who actually say that they have to write the stories and the documents and the things that they have to submit. They have to write things in a way that they are pretending that they believe something else when they actually don't. Otherwise, that they won't get the results that they need. You see, what is happening today is that academia, the so-called expert, quote unquote, is now telling your politicians that you elected into place what it is that they have to do, when it is they have to do it, and how it is they have to do it. Do you know that I didn't elect academics? Did you? I elected politicians. And then we've seen the bizarre circumstances today in Stormont, whereby that DUP ministers, they voted against this pushing into place controls over people's lives. We had DUP who voted against it. And you look at what happened, people, is that we have a conglomerate of minorities telling the majority what it is that they have to do. And that is totally unacceptable. Totally unacceptable. You know, and how was it they arrived at that vote today to control your life even more, to take away your freedoms, I may add. And you know, you come back to this in the future, these freedoms that you will never get back again. Once they're gone, they will be lost and gone forever. You know, and there's reasons why that you are being forced into these passports right now, is that they are just passports right now, but they will soon become digital passports, and every area of your life will be on these digital passports. And you see, that's the agenda, and they're not hiding it. You just have to go and you just have to read all about it. It's there. This is what's happening. This is what's being forced. And yet a conglomerate of minorities in a corrupt house on the hill in Stormont, they're now dictating to the majority what it is that they have to do, and in a way that totally controls the majority viewpoint. So if the DUP are worth their salt, what they have to do is they actually have to, they can block this. They can't block it. They can say absolutely not. You know, we trust people to get on with their own lives. We trust people to do the right thing for and on behalf of others from within society. We trust people to do the right thing. We don't have to control people in a way that we take away their freedoms, never to give those freedoms back again. This happened before within the past 100 years. It happened before. And how did that turn out? Well, it didn't turn out very well. And you believe me, people, the Ulster Unionist Party, they will roll with anything, absolutely anything. They don't have popular support. They don't get the Unionist vote. And yet they are behind, largely, why that it is that people from within society will be discriminated against. What for? Well, so that they can get their vote, so that they can appear to be important. These people are, I don't know. I just don't know. There's words that I can't use. There's words that I want to use, but yeah, I'm going to refrain from using them. Look, I think that I've talked enough on this here, but I'm just trying to say is that they have no right to take away your freedom. They have no right to take away my freedom. They have no right to create emergency legislation created by being forced by a conglomerate of minorities against the will of the majority. And if the politicians that we elect, if they permit this to happen, We can't vote for these politicians ever again. We can't, because they're not serving and protecting you. They're serving and they're protecting themselves. I tried to be very, very careful about what it was that I had to say this evening. I tried to be very, very careful not to mention the wrong words, because I have seen over the period of years, whenever I have been saying that we're heading towards an open prison, I have seen how that it is that we have been curtailed from getting this message out. I mean, this Restore page, Restore UK. I know other people are on the British Unionist People's Voice at the minute, but Restore UK used to be a thing that was started as a result of Brexit referendum. It used to be called the United Kingdom Vote Pool, and we had something like 7,000 people which followed our platform. And the articles that we were writing on here, the posts that we were doing with reference Brexit, it started off on Facebook, where the numbers were numbering. To put it like this, it wasn't a very good post if it didn't reach 100,000, if it didn't have over 100,000, if on some occasions 1 million, over 1 million, 2 million. Our biggest post was 3.2 million people. 3.2 million people. And then what happened was that the European Union, the dictatorial Ponzi scheme that is the European Union, well, they called Mark Zuckerberg to Brussels, where Guy Verhofstadt, do you know that Hitler's wee brother? That's what he looks like. He just looks like a total and utter freakazoid in terms of he's the perfect image for a dictator. And it is my right to say that, my absolute right to say that. And I won't let anyone take that right away from me, because that's how I see things. This freakazoid Guy Verhofstadt, well, he said to Mark Zuckerberg, you and your platform is destroying our democracy. And I remember thinking to myself, no, you, sir, and your institution, your dictatorial Ponzi scheme that is the EU, it is you, sir, and your cronies that are destroying democracy. In the Brexit referendum, 23rd of June in 2016, 17.4 plus million people in the United Kingdom voted out of that dictatorial Ponzi scheme. And here we are in 2021. And we still haven't left, no matter what they tell you. They're still negotiating with the EU. I remember writing an article some 3 months before the Brexit referendum. And I entitled that article, Hotel California, Brussels. You can check out any time you like, but you can never leave. Here we are in 2021, almost 2022. And yeah, I was right. And why was I right? I didn't have a crystal ball. You see, I watch what it is that the EU do. I watch what it is that they have done whenever others had voted against them. And what they normally did, was they normally send people back to the polls until they get the answer that they did want. But because people were onto that, and people were suggesting that we won't vote again. We won't. Well, they changed their tack this time, and what they are doing is that they're trying to, by hook or by crook, keep us part of this dictatorial Ponzi scheme. And I believe, people, that there are a lot of politicians that you would think that were on your side that are happy to get their feet onto this dictatorial Ponzi schemes table, for fear of them being left behind. We are reasonable people. British Unionists here in Northern Ireland, I mean, what do we want? All that we've ever wanted was for to be left alone as British Unionists, for not to have attacks on our culture, on our history, on everything that we've ever believed in, for to be treated as first-class citizens, to not be subjected to sectarianism ethnic cleansing, to not have insult added to the injury that we've already endured over the years as a result of IRA terrorism. That's all that we wanted. We didn't want any more or any less. We just wanted to be equals in society and not to be discriminated against, and to have the same democracy and to be afforded the same democracy as everybody else. That's all we wanted. And yet some people are hell-bent on ensuring that you and I and everyone else, if you're a British Unionist, that you don't get this. And are we being victimised? Well, no, we're not. This may surprise you, but in Scotland, people are being treated the same. In Wales, people are being treated the same. In England, people are being treated the same. In Ireland, people are being treated the same. In France, in Germany, in Italy, right across the Western world, in America, people are being treated in exactly the same way as you are. And what is the common denominator which binds all of those people together? It is your love of country. It is your love of your nationality. There's nothing wrong with having love for country, for actually, being proud of where that it is that you live and where that it is you were born and your birthright. There's nothing wrong with being proud of the flag that it is that you stand under. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But let me tell you a few home truths which came to me by accident, I guess, whenever I was talking to a professor at the George Mitchell Institute for Global Peace. You see, this professor, a Professor John Brewer, he had told me that religion is the cause of too many wars. Religion has to go. He also told me that Britain for the British, that Ireland for the Irish, that America for the Americans, it was unchristian, pernicious, and politically dangerous. That's what he said. And I believe that I was told that in a way that I don't think that I was meant to get that much information. And when I started to highlight this and talk to people about this, and the people that I was showing what this man had said, they were going, no one has ever got an admission from them people like you did. And I showed these people in writing this. There's my good friend Jim Werner on the screen there that'll confirm. He was with me whenever I received the text saying that Britain for the British, Ireland for the Irish, America for the Americans is unchristian, pernicious, and politically dangerous. Now, what does that mean? That means that the George Mitchell Institute for Global Peace, to which he is one of the top 4 professors, he is one of the people that, as a professor, which would write policy. Now, who's in that club? Bill Clinton's in that club. Hillary Clinton's in that club. George Mitchell's in that club. Tony Blair's in that club. Alistair Campbell, Jonathan Powell, to list but a few. I believe that Peter Robinson's in that club. Is Jeffrey Donaldson in that club? Well, that remains to be seen, but I can certainly say that I know that Jeffrey Donaldson was out as a peace envoy telling people in Cameroon of his experiences within the Northern Ireland peace process. To me, that is exactly what the George Mitchell Institute for Global Peace do. They use the template of the Northern Ireland peace process to go around the world trying to solve conflict. You see, but this came straight out of the George Mitchell Institute, telling me that they want to do away with my nationality, that they want to do away with my Britishness. They're telling me that my Britishness is unchristian, pernicious, and politically dangerous. Who's it politically dangerous to? Who's your Britishness politically dangerous to? Well, it's politically dangerous to those that want to wipe it out. It's politically dangerous to the George Mitchell Institute. It's politically dangerous to Marxists like John Brewer. It's politically dangerous whenever they can't have their way. Why was it that we won the Brexit referendum? You see, they could never match the message of those that had their country at heart. They could never match the determination and the patriotism, the sense of patriotism that was stirred up whenever people were going to the polls. They could never match that message, because you see, when people love their country, that's the way that it is. They love their country, and nothing that anybody could say or nothing that anybody could do will ever take that away. And yet these globalists, they think that they can't have their way, they can't win at the polls, they can't rig referendums, they can't beat us at the ballot box. So what do they have to do? They have to use their capos, their NGOs, their non-governmental, bought and paid for organizations which weren't elected. They have to use their network of bought and paid for capos to ensure that if you have patriotism in mind, if you believe in your country, if you believe in your heritage and your culture, and you want to protect your birthright, well, if you believe in that, they will find a way. And I believe that they're finding a way today in Northern Ireland of excluding you from society. And that, my friends, is totally unacceptable. Totally unacceptable. People, I went over the hour. There's something I really wanted to talk about that this evening. And, and I'm going to say this again, but, politicians that would use lawfare to try to frighten people, to not point out where the corruption is, to not point out where their inabilities are, to not point out where they're getting things wrong. Politicians that would actually try to use lawfare to try to ensure that people don't criticize them. Those politicians, well, we as people need to ensure that that type of politician never gets their hands near the levers of power ever again. These people are a scourge on humanity. They're a scourge on society, and they are the enemy, the absolute enemy of every peace-loving, right-minded, freedom-loving individual. They don't have the right to take your freedom away. They certainly don't have the right to take my freedom away, and I will be opposing this with everything that I have. And I don't care what it is that they attempt to do to me. Freedom's just another word for nothing left to lose. And there's a lot of people in this country, business owners, people that has lost family members, that don't have anything left to lose. So isn't it time that these wannabe dictators, that they got a reality check, and they ensured that the people of Northern Ireland, they're not treated in a way that is, I'm just going to say, unfitting of what it is that they deserve. We've had, all of my life, we've been involved in conflict in this country. Lots of us have seen people being murdered and maimed. Lots of us have seen things that we never would wish that any others would see. Lots of us have PTSD as a result of the things that we've seen. Lots of us, standing up for right against wrong, have put themselves in jeopardy only to be, treated as criminals whenever, and I'm talking about our veterans here, whenever in actual fact they were heroes. People, this is what politics has become, and I don't like what I'm seeing. It's a cesspit of corruption. It is clearly a cesspit in where those that want to protect themselves, well, they will agree to anything in order that they have protection, because they know, you make no mistake about it, they know that they are doing the wrong thing. They know that they do not have the right to do this against you or I or anyone else. It is our inalienable right to freedom of choice, bodily autonomy, and not to pump things into your body if we don't want to do it. It is our absolute right to assess what it is that we want to do, to make informed decisions, and to base those informed decisions on the evidence which is available. But of course, and I know, and everyone else knows that the evidence, well, it hasn't been available to date. The evidence is being covered up. I want to slightly talk about something else before that I finish, and let's remember why that it is that we're here this evening. The Ulster Unionist Party are dangerous. The Ulster Unionist Party are totally dangerous. And if you're in the Ulster Unionist Party, and if you're not part of that hierarchy, well, let's see what you do over the coming days and weeks. You see, by your actions, you will be known. The Ulster Unionist Party, well, they took us into the appeasement process. They were defeated at the polls. They now get a shot at having a bit of power again. And look what they do on the people of Northern Ireland. And no matter why, look, I've nothing against people that wouldn't be vaccinated or would be vaccinated. Either or, that's their choice. That is their free will in a free society. That is to do with them and what it is that they want to pump into their body. That is their absolute inalienable right to have bodily autonomy. And this is what these globalists were telling us whenever they were trying to force people into a vote for abortion. They says it was your body and it was your choice. So remembering, and we're going to close, we're not going to lose sight of this message, the Ulster Unionist Party are dangerous. Are the DUP any better? Well, we will be watching, waiting and seeing what the DUP do in the coming days and weeks. And of course, they're going to say, well, it's not that bad because you can have a lateral flow test. You don't have to have the vaccine passport. The thin end of the wedge, that's what that is. The thin end of the wedge. Why don't you be honest with people? Why don't you tell people that ID 2020, digital passports, everyone hooked up to the grid? Why don't you tell people what is coming down their line? Because you know quite clearly, and you're not being straight with people. You're not being honest with people. You're not doing what it is that you were elected to do. I take my hat off to Paul Frew. And in fact, I would like to meet Paul Frew. I would like Paul Frew to come on here to have a chat with us. I really would. People, I'm going to go to the live chat. I kept going there because, it had to be done. It has to be said. Now, I probably will have restrictions placed on my voice from here on in. I probably will. But something, sometimes some things are worth standing up for. The battles that we refuse to fight today become the bills that the next generation of children has to pay. Remember that. The battles that we refuse to fight today are the bills that the next generation will have to pay. Think of the bills that we would have had to pay if our forefathers, for their right reasons, hadn't have went to war. You see, they done things for the right reasons. Yes, of course, it's questionable as to some of the puppet masters in the backgrounds as to the reasons why that they went to war right throughout history. But certainly the men that would give themselves to stand between aggression on their fellow man, certainly them people, they done it for the right reasons. And those people That's why we were in an act of remembrance just a few days ago. Greater love hath no man than a man that would lay down his life for his friends. Greater love hath no man. You see, Mug Beattie and his bunch of dictators in the UUP hierarchy, these people, they need to understand that it isn't their right to take away my rights. It isn't their right to take away your rights. If there has to be restrictions put in place, there has to be restrictions. No one's arguing about that. But you cross the line when you try to remove people's freedoms, when you try to, in a capo-like fashion, when you try to do the dirty work of people like what John Brewer would have said, that Britain for the British, America for the Americans, and Ireland for the Irish, it is unchristian, pernicious, and politically dangerous. You see, these people can't beat you at the polls. They certainly can't have a heart like you or have patriotism like you. They certainly don't, they're not like you. They're not as determined as you to stand up for the things that you believe in. They're not as determined as you. They can't beat you. So they have to swindle you. That's the truth. And with people like Mug Beattie and his party, which are actually helping these people force this woke agenda, which equals cancel culture into place. And by extension, the cancel culture starts when you say the wrong things. They don't allow you on social media. The cancel culture starts when you're curtailed on social media for maybe saying things when they don't want you to say them. The cancel culture starts when you turn up at an event in a university to talk and they cancel you. They don't want you there. The cancel culture starts when your voice isn't permitted in society, when your voice isn't permitted within the mainstream media. The cancel culture starts there and it progresses to you being cancelled from entering a bar, entering a nightclub, doing the things that other people are permitted to do. You're being cancelled because you believe in free will. You're being cancelled because you want to stand up for your freedoms, your rights, your human rights. You're being cancelled because you want to stand up for your inalienable rights. And this is being facilitated by the dangerous Ulster Unionist Party. I'm going to stop there. I'm going to go to the live chat, people. I see the numbers have stayed quite high right across the platforms. It has to be said, it has to be done. We have to have the ability to stand up against these people. We have to be permitted to protest against these people. We have to be permitted to say that what it is that we see whenever we see things that are wrong. We have to be permitted in a democracy to point out corruption, to stand against those that would try to curtail our free speech. We have to be permitted to say what it is that we see when it is that we see it. We have to be permitted to criticize our politicians. And we need to be able to do that without these people assuming that they can take people to court, that they can use lawfare against the ordinary Joe public as a means to scare them from criticizing them. I've never seen a time in my life like I've seen, like I see right before my very eyes right now. I've never, ever seen a time in my life just like this. Who would have ever imagined that it would have come to this? Yes, of course, we predicted it back then, because we seen the incremental removal of people's rights, the incremental cancelling of people that didn't have the views that globalization wanted them to have. We seen the incrementally how that agendas were being pushed into society, detrimental agendas which are geared towards and produced in order to divide society. We have seen the division of people as a means of enforcing and implementing a divide and conquer strategy. And we've seen some people from within our own communities actually helping put this into place. Capos, yeah. Go and look that up. Capo, that word capo. There's a bit of homework for you. Go and read about the capos and see what the capos done. Because there's a lot of capos in politics today right across the Western world. And I make no apologies for saying that. There is a lot of capos. And we've seen capos in use today, useful idiots. And what these capos don't understand, because this is what happened to capos, is that whenever the dictator are done with them, they are subjected to the same tyranny as others, the same tyranny that they helped put into place. I'm reminded of the creation of a monster, and ultimately that monster ends up devouring you. And that's a message for the Ulster Unionist Party. That's a message for Mug BEATTIE. Now, I know that you're too far in, Mug BEATTIE. I know that, Robin Swan's too far in. I know that Mike Nesbitt's too far in. And let's just make this clear. I am talking about the Ulster Unionist Party. I'm talking about the hierarchy within the Ulster Unionist Party, that you have crossed the line and you don't even know where the line is anymore in terms of your wokearati, your woke agenda. You've crossed the line. And let me just finish before I go to the live chat by saying this. You see, we have learned from the past that this has happened before. Martin McGuinness. You see, Martin McGuinness, what he did was, a lot of people said that he took the Republican movement and it was him that done it. And old Jerry, what did he do? You see, Jerry didn't want to meet the same fate as Collins. What happened to Collins? We all know the story. He didn't want to meet the same fate. So what did he do? The yellow belly. He didn't want to take control. So he left it to Martin, just in case people had turned against Martin, not him. And what happened was that Martin took the Republican movement down a road that a lot of Republicans didn't want to go. And he got to the point whereby that he had absolutely divided Republicans to the point whereby that they were getting death threats. And this is the truth. This is the absolute truth. They were getting death threats from within their own community. And the Republican movement had never been splintered from the 60s right up until the point whereby that they went into this so-called peace process. And I honestly believe, now just look at the evidence here, but I believe, and I remember writing about this when Martin McGuinness died, but I believe that Martin McGuinness knew that he was on the wrong road because he was decimating Republicanism. He was destroying the Republican movement. He was dividing the Republican movement. And Martin had created a monster. And Martin wanted to stay ahead of that monster. And the only way that he could stay ahead of that monster was to continue to keep digging and to be implementing more stuff to ensure that he was protected from the Republicans that, without shadow of a doubt, would have put him in the grave. And you know what? The first opportunity, what did Martin McGuinness do? Before his deathbed, he collapsed Stormont. He walked away, and that was him actually reversing from the things that he would have done and saying, there you go, people, I collapsed it. And he didn't want to be left with the legacy that he was the man that was in charge of driving the forces which decimated Republicanism. So there you go. There's a story. And that's one for the Ulster Unionist Party to remember. Because you see, these people, your Mug BEATTIEs of this world, they are so far down this rabbit hole, following this woke agenda, promoting by their because that they side with this agenda, what they are doing is they're promoting the cancel culture and everything that comes with it. And they're so far into this that they have to continue going. When in a hole, they don't try to climb out, they continue to dig. Now, there's my accusations to the Ulster Unionist Party. You are facilitating the mechanisms which is destroying the fabric of society. Who cares if someone's gay? Who cares if someone, a man, wants to suggest that he's a woman? Who cares? Nobody cares. Why do we have to make these things an issue? Why do we have to indoctrinate children that if you've got a man sausage, you can be a woman? Why do we have to indoctrinate children, as the BBC does, that there's 101 different genders? Why do we have to force this gender politics within society? Why do we have to continue dividing society along these lines? That's not how society should function. But yet that's what the Ulster Unionist Party promote every single day of the week. The Ulster Unionist Party are dangerous. Are the DUP any better? Well, we'll soon know about that. We will soon know about that because we'll be watching, waiting to see what it is that the DUP do very, very shortly. Right, people, we're going to the live chat. And then we'll play us out at the very end with a couple of songs. We're going to play it again at the end. We're going to play that song. So you think you can tell heaven from hell? Did you trade a green field for a cold steel rail, a walk-in part on the war for a leading role? You know, it's just, you have to listen to the words of that song. I think it's very, very fitting for where that it is that society is going right now. I don't like where our politicians are leading us. I don't like where they're taking us. You know, pandemic or no pandemic, they don't have the right to take away your inalienable rights. They say that they do. They don't. They don't. They're God-given rights. They're God-given rights, and they don't have the right to do that. And wee Robin thinks that, well, I don't know. Somebody told me that he was a Christian. That's where Revelations chapter 17 comes into it, Robin Swan, if you're a Christian. For God has put it in their hearts to hand their kingdom onto the beast. And no matter why you believe in God or you don't, or you believe in God or you believe in the devil or a beast or not, this system which has been forced into place has become a beast. For God has put it in their hearts to hand their kingdom onto the beast until the words of God shall be fulfilled. That's what it says in the Bible. That's one for Robin Swan and anyone else from within the Ulster Unionist Party or the DUP that are religious. There we go. There we go. Anyway, people, leave your messages in the live chat. Please leave your messages in the live chat there so that I can actually scoot through and I can get some of what it is that you're saying. I have to say, the numbers are staying really, really high here. There's some things that I can't put up. I'm looking at some of the live chat here, but I can't put things up because, you know, I don't want to be mentioning certain words because algorithms pick up certain words. Now, of course, everybody knows what I'm talking about, but, you know, you just have to be very, very careful that algorithms don't pick you up. Of course, listen, we're curtailed here on Restore anyway, and it's only by the help of the people on our channel that it ensures that we can get our message out by sharing. It's only because of your help that we do get our message out. So look, it doesn't matter. We have nothing else to lose. Freedom is just another word for nothing left to lose. And we're being curtailed anyway. We're having our freedom of speech restricted anyway. We are not being permitted to criticize certain things. We are not being permitted to ask questions about certain things. What have we got to lose? Remember, just remember, the battles that we refuse to fight today are the bills that the next generation of children will have to pay. Remember that. Remember that. As for me, I'll be fighting those battles. I will be using weapons of words. I will be holding a politician to account. I will be holding political parties to account. I will be holding anyone, anyone with a vested interest in ensuring that our freedoms are removed from the collective, which is the people of Northern Ireland, the United Kingdom, the Western world. We've got to continue to fight these people, fight them with tooth and nail, with everything that we have, because they don't have the right to remove your freedoms, my freedoms, or anyone else's freedoms. And I don't care what colour your freedoms are, what freedoms your flag stands under. You might be an Irish person, you might be a Catholic, you might be a nationalist. Your freedoms are the same as my freedoms. And I will stand up for your freedoms the same as I will my own. And I'm sure any right-minded individual will do exactly the same. I think that what they have done, people, is they've crossed the line. They've crossed the line in pursuit of all-out totalitarianism for and on behalf of their globalist masters. That's exactly what they've done. And they have went way, way, way too far. The Ulster Unionist Party are dangerous. Right, okay, we're looking for some live chat. And what I want to do also is that just leave stuff up there for me so that I can pop it up. We'll stay for another little while. And what I want to do here is I want to pop this up. And I we'll have to do this here because, do you know something? I think that we'll be cancelled. I'll be cancelled. My voice won't be heard. But then we're going to have to get out. We're going to have to use our rights, our human right, our right to criticise. We're going to have to use that right to get out and about around the highways, the byways, winning the hearts and minds, showing people where the corruption is, showing people where the unwillingness, the inabilities, and the inactions of our own political parties are. We need to be highlighting these people. We need to be showing where they're corrupt, why they're corrupt, who it is that they're working for. We need to be showing absolutely everything. And we need to be turning people away from them in their droves. And there is right now, there is, without me mentioning it, there is a political party within British Unionism here in Northern Ireland that you, I, and everyone else can place our vote with and that we can truly trust, because it's becoming a party built by people, for and on behalf of the people. And on Monday evening, we're going to learn about that party. We have the leader of the TUV on Restore UK on Monday evening. And I look forward to talking to Jim Allister with reference where next for the TUV, what their plans are for the future, where it is that they're going to be standing candidates. And we'll ask him really to talk about things like the protocol and other things which is affecting British Unionism here in Northern Ireland. We'll also touch on where that it is that he sees the inactions of other political groupings, the mainstream political parties being the DUP and the dangerous Ulster Unionist Party. We're going to ask him where that it is that these people are getting things wrong, and where that it is that these people, need to be told that they are destroying everything that a lot of people ever believed in. They're destroying a whole load of history. They're destroying humanity, if you ask me. And that's what I believe. And if I'm wrong, that's my right to say that. It's my right to ask those Ulster Unionist Party representatives, these people that I believe are dangerous. It's my right to ask these people to come here and to explain to me if I'm wrong and if they are right. That's the way it should be. I don't expect to be taken to court. I don't expect to find myself in a PSNI cell or getting a rap on the door by the PSNI. Not in a free society. I don't expect to find that. I'm using my right to criticize what it is that I see that is going wrong. And no one will ever take that away from me. And you, I hope. And you. So I popped up the PayPal there, people. The PayPal's in the live chat. If you can help her work, if you can put in, a small amount, any way, shape, or form, please do. Please do. Yeah, please do. I just noticed there from Colin Legg here. Is it not about time to protest? Colin, absolutely. Absolutely. I think it's come that time. I think, freedom is just another word for nothing left to lose. And we need to do this before that these people remove your right to do so. And this is high. It's really, really getting better. It's getting worse. So we're really going to have to do this. Let me tell you a small story, and this is to the people on the live chat. So I was approached by Emma Pengelly last week, and she had presented a proposal to me, and I looked at the proposal, and then I talked to some people that I know in the background of here at Restore, and also other friends. And I said, well, look, what do you think of that? And, and there were merits in the proposal that was being made, I guess. But then I said to Emma, what is this? I mean, is this a suggestion, or is this something that's happening? And she said to me, no, it's a suggestion, right? And what Emma Pengelly was suggesting, and I think, people, we should take this up. I think that we should do this. I think that we have to do this. Emma was suggesting to me that, with the likes of Sinn Féin not giving British Unionists their place within the grounds of Stormont, they wouldn't allow a centenary stone. They don't allow places to be lit up. They're forever going against anything British Unionist. So, she was sort of suggesting, well, maybe before the end of the year, before the centenary is over, what we need to do is that we do need to have a protest at Stormont, really doing our own thing, going to Stormont, and we really need to be doing something like, for example, I'll tell you what the suggestion was, is that, I mean, she called it a night of 1,000 lights, pick a weekend, early December, for example, and, have people come to Stormont from all over Northern Ireland and putting their own little centenary stones. And I know that there was a lady on our chat who did promote this earlier in the year. Bring their own centenary stones with their, decorate them, paint them, bring them there, leave them there, and really make a protest and do it over a period of a weekend and have it culminate, say, on a Sunday evening with a night of 1,000 lights, and encourage maybe bands to come and have some speakers, but do it as a static protest within the grounds of Stormont. And I thought to myself, I says, well, Emma, I don't really like the sound of the name. Now, let me explain to you something, by the way. Emma Pengelly is still a DUP member, but Emma Pengelly, as from Monday just past there, she's now a practicing barrister again. And she's offered her services for anyone that would actually need them. So again, I thought that was a good offer. And we know that people has done wrong in the past. We know that people, Emma was Arlene Foster's special advisor, and she has her fingerprints, as well as Arlene Foster, over a lot of things, including New Decade, New Deal, and Irish language commissioners and so on. Well, she has her fingerprints over a lot of this stuff. But something? I'm a great believer, a bit like, and we'll use this, I've been using all this biblical stuff this evening, a bit like the prodigal son. If they come back and they say, well, fair cop, things are wrong, and sorry for that, and let's do the right thing. Well, providing that their actions match their words, I'm a great believer in giving people a second chance. So I thought, after talking to people, it was a good thing to do. And people had sort of said to me, but I didn't like the name, A Night of 1,000 Lights. Let's say you don't get 1,000 people, then people can say, well, it didn't really do what it is that you wanted to do. But something, I think that if we start now, we could do this. We could do this. We could make it, say, on a Saturday, early December, and or maybe even in December at some point, and we invite people from all around the province to come to Stormont to literally to celebrate the centenary in the Parliament here in Northern Ireland. under the statue of our founding father, Carson. I believe that we do need to do that. And you know something? Yeah, if you people want to make this a reality, just leave it in the live chat. And not just for me, but for the people that would help organize this. Because there were some people saying, no, we'll just wait to next year, to May, to there is a centenary march. But that's the year after our centenary. And are we going to be dictated to by Sinn Féin on how that it is that we can celebrate everything that we believe in, everything that we've held so dear? Are we going to be dictated to by Sinn Féin? Well, I know that I'm not. I know that I'm not. So here's what we need to do. Could I bring my stone of a JCB, because it would be too big to carry it? Absolutely. Absolutely. I like that, Jim. Heather Ramsey suggested the stones. That's right. I remember Heather Ramsey suggested that. So there you go. There was a proposal that was brought. The sooner the better. There's Jill Freeburn. The sooner the better, John. You're 100% correct. Nobody people are too comfy and way too programmed. Well, we have to change that. You know, from little acorns grow large oaks. You know, that's the way that it goes, and grow forests, let's just say. So if we can get it started, who knows? We might be able to get something going. Who knows? It might even be destabilized. There might be outside influences that come as infiltrators to create havoc within these things. But look, I think that we're doing things in. Should we do it? That's the question that I'm asking. That's the question I'm asking. That's the question that Colin Legg is asking. Is it not about time to protest? Well, is it? Is it? Leave your comments and let us know. Is it time to protest? Is it time? Is enough enough? Are we going to be dictated to by these dictators, these little Hitlers, who think that they have the right to remove your freedom, my freedom, and everyone else's freedom? We are happy to comply in a pandemic. We are happy to do the right thing. We are happy to do things in a way that doesn't put other people at risk. But we all should subscribe to maintaining people's right to their freedom of choice, to their bodily autonomy, to their religious belief. You know, we should be standing up for other people's rights. That's the way a stable society should work. That your belief, your culture, your way of life, your lifestyle choices. Well, you see, we should permit each and every person within that working equation to subscribe to whatever it is that they want to subscribe to. But in return, we expect those people to do exactly the same to us. And again, that's biblical, isn't it? Do unto others as you would have them do to you. That's how it works. That's how you form the basis of a stable society. So there we go. Please leave me a lot of chat, a lot of comments in the live chat with reference. Yeah, there's Jackie. That would be a great thing to do, to let them see that we don't walk away. We don't. We're British Unionists, and we are made of sterner stuff than that. I remember a man a few years ago. You know, everybody knows me, but and how that it is that sometimes I go to great lengths to point out corruption, to stand up against politicians, and you know, I do this. I don't fear them. You know, I don't. You know. That's the way that I was brought up. If something is corrupt or wrong, well, you've got to stand up against it. That's what we've got to do for and on behalf of each and every one from within society. That's our. It's not just our right, but it's our duty to stand up against corruption. So, because I continue actually to do that, you know, I remember a man saying a few years ago to me, and it was with reference to Brexit. He says, John, you'll be the last man standing. Well, do you know something? I've learned through this platform that I won't be the last person standing. I know that there'll be a lot of people standing with me, and others will be bought and they'll move on, and they'll not be worried. And we're going to get into that in another stream. We've learned a wee bit about how that this is being done and the terminology that is being used whenever people are being bought and paid for, and how that, say, a pending colonization of somewhere, how that they use, are you ready for this terminology? Remember, this is the word of the week. How that they use comprador. How that they use comprador to form a circle around them. And they continue to water that circle with pleasantries, normally money, keeping that circle in place to protect them. Remember that terminology, comprador. And we're going to be doing a stream, maybe for half an hour, explaining what a comprador is, showing where compradors have been used in the past, showing that Marxism, Karl Marx believed in the theory of comprador, and how that this theory, this strategy, is being used the Western world wide right now to derail, or let's say to how do I say this, to turn your politicians off the track that they should be on. This strategy of comprador is being used to turn these people down a track that the people that elect them, well, they don't want them to go. So we'll talk about that in the future. But there's one again for you to look at. Comprador, which is COMPRADORE, is the English terminology for comprador. You'll get small video clips on YouTube if you do a search for it. And that's what I want you to learn for next week. But ask yourself the question when you do that: who are the comprador or compradors within our society? Because once you know what a comprador is, once you know that how that strategy is put into place, they are easily identifiable. The Ulster Unionist Party are dangerous, totally dangerous. And it is my right to say that. And they will not take that right away from me, nor will a conglomerate of the Alliance Party, the Green Party, Sinn Féin, the SDLP, or the dangerous Ulster Unionist Party, nor will any of those people take my right away to criticise the corruption that they are involved in and around. The DUP, well, it's not looking good for wee Jeffrey. He's not a man of his word by the looks of things. We will be watching the DUP's actions over the next few days. And, well, let's see what the DUP do. We'll talk about the protocol at another date. Tonight was more about the dangerous Ulster Unionist Party and their woke agenda, which by extension seeks to cancel people from having a voice, from saying what they see, from speaking the truth, from saying that a man with a man sausage is a man, saying that what type of nonsense would suggest that there's 101 different oh dear, I'm losing words here tonight. There's 101 different I'm even losing my words here. Male and female, what is it they call that? I'll get it anyway. People, I don't often lose my words, do you? I don't often lose my words, but there we go. I think I'm a wee bit worn down now after talking for almost 2 hours in succession. So thanks very much, people, for coming along. If you can help us in the live chat, look at the numbers. The numbers are staying way up here all evening. And, yeah, thanks for coming along. Thanks for listening. I'm going to say one thing. Can we wake these people out of what it is that they're involved in? Can we wake them up? Do you know why you hear people saying we have to waken these people up? I would finish by saying that you can't waken people who are pretending to be asleep. These people know fine well what it is that they're involved in, how that it is that what they're involved in is detrimental to society, how that it is that confusing young children's minds is tantamount to child abuse. You know, how that it is that there isn't 101 different genders. All that does is confuses children. And yet the wokerati in the Ulster Unionist dangerous party are happy to facilitate this type of piffle into place. The Ulster Unionist Party are totally, totally dangerous. And it's my right to say that. Thanks for coming along, people. I'm going to be playing us out with, let's just going to pop this up from Robert Kelly. Robert, you got to excuse me. You're a good friend of mine. I have a lot of time for you, and that'll never ever change. And you've got to excuse me for attacking what it is that the Ulster Unionist Party are putting into place today. My freedoms are very, very important to me. Our freedoms are very, very important to me. And if people want to take them away, I've got to please excuse me that I'm attacking these people, because do you know something? I believe the battles that we refuse to fight today are the bills that our children and our children's children will have to pay in the future. So in no way, shape or form was that an attack on you. Robert, thanks for that message. The 18th of December falls on Saturday, very fitting, as it is the proper date to burn the Lundy. Do you know something? Dairy Day normally goes and that there. That's all. Robert, you and I need to get together here. And other people on our live chat, we need to get together. And I like that thought. Look at what Robert wrote right there, people. And this is the whole point of what it is that we done. What did Lundy do? What did Lundy do? Yeah. You see, Lundy was a traitor. Judas, 30 pieces of silver. Comprador, 30 pieces of silver. Very fitting, Robert, very fitting. What a date. What a date. There's a date for Stormont, people. There is the date for Stormont, and it is huge, huge significance. So I think it is a simple twist of fate that this has to happen. Let's see what we can do. Let's see what we can do. Let's see who doesn't want to be involved. I don't know. Let's put our collective heads together and to make this happen in the way that it was explained. Thanks very much, people, for coming along. Stones from every, I love it. Tony Watson, stones from every county in Northern Ireland build their own monument. Certainly, John, time is running out for the first time in many years. I'm fearful for our future. Kaz Clark, certainly, John, time is running out for the first time in many years. I'm fearful for our future. There we go. I'm just reading through some of this here. Yep, we know that a lot will be in Londonderry. Derry Day has been happening in the towns and cities around the province lately. So let's see what happens. I mean, Stormont's huge. There can be a lot of social distancing. It can be static protest. Everybody can come along and protest in a static way. Everybody can do that. That's how our faith began. Yep. Georgie, I'm just going to pop this up. Stormont is a disgrace. Unionism largely ignored our centenary. We need stones marking the end of this centennial year. We didn't need anything other than a monument. It could have been placed in Royal Hillsborough. Look, absolutely. The time has come. We need to do this. People, I'm very, very encouraged by what people are saying on here. Right? It was okay. There's Isabel Montgomery. It was okay for Sinn Féin to plant a tree for the anniversary of the GAA in Stormont. Right, that they don't even get me started on the GAA, because I had stuff here from the UUP. You know, the hierarchy of the UUP, who are dangerous. I had stuff there. You know, we'll maybe pop one up before we go. The founder of the SAS was an Ulster man, very, very good. They're leaving a stone. What about everyone taking a stone until Stormont? Jim, I love it. Instead of leaving a stone, why would we all take a stone until Stormont collapses? Yeah. The Belfast Agreement, it was a disguise. It was built for appeasement, swindle and lies. The pieces of farce, the IRA guns are still there, and London is afraid of another bomb scare. Day anymore, it is the first Saturday in December now. Right, okay. So there we go. Right, same day. I look, we have to look. I think we have to do that. I think that we have to do that. I think that we have to start talking to people right now. You know, we have to do it. That's the date. That is the date. Even if it's only a small group of people, it has to be done on that date, because what a significant day. Very good, Robert. Robert, thank you very much for that. And there was me not even thinking. Wow. I'm just going down looking for some more live chat before we go. People, continue to leave your messages in the live chat. Continue to give us a like, a love, a share. Continue to support our channel. If you can put £5, £10, put something into the little the PayPal account. Put something in, because, you know, as you see, I mean, we've worked wonders with what it is that we've done to date, in terms of people putting a few pound in with their own money, with your money. And, you know, and we're now in a position whereby that what we can do is that we can do these things, and we can expose these things, and we're completely equipped to do so in a very, very professional way. And once again, thanks very much for coming along here. Very good, Tony. I say, not everyone will be in Londonderry that day. Out for Mana protest. Ants will bring our rocks from Enniskillen. Thank you very much for that, Robert. I know that you apologise, and I, along with many others, have had enough and have gone elsewhere. Robert, I want you on Restore next week. I really do, to have a chat with you. Just confirm that you're going to come on here with us, with Jim Allister on Monday, at a different time of 7:30 on Monday, and we're looking forward to having Jim Allister on here. So, Robert, if you would like to come on the following Wednesday, let's get on and let's talk about what it is that we've discussed with some of our mutual friends. And we're going to actually, between the two of us, Robert, and between others that are on our screen, we're going to get out and about and around, and we're going to actually make this happen. We really are, because we have enough friends, real good friends, to make this work regardless. And you and I both know what we're talking about, Robert. We can do this. We can do this. So anyway, thanks very much for coming along. Leave your messages of support, your message of thanks, why you thought this stream was good, bad, or indifferent. As I say, look, listen, we have nothing against anybody that is vaccinated, that isn't vaccinated, that wants to play their part in protecting their fellow citizens, because we all believe that we collectively should actually stand up whenever the chips are down, to protect each and every one from within society. We're decent, honourable, law-abiding citizens, and we do not want to cause anyone any harm, and we certainly don't want anyone suffering as a result of some of the things that we have done. But, and this is a big but, is that our inalienable rights are not for sale. Our inalienable rights are not up for grab. Our inalienable rights are not for politicians to take them away. Our inalienable rights are not for globalists to force politicians in different parts of the world to remove from ordinary citizens. Our inalienable rights are very important, and they form the basis of a stable society. Once we lose those people, we are entering a phase of complete and all-out totalitarianism. And I choose free will every day of the week and twice on a Sunday. So thanks very much for coming along. I'm going to be playing us out with a couple of little songs. Please leave your messages on the live chat, and we will see each and every person here on Monday. We won't, people, let me announce something. We're probably going to see you. I'm going to check in with the bands firm. We're probably going to see you. I'm going to say probably the band firm is on. If the band's firm is on Friday night, maybe not. But we're 1 year old in 2 days' time. Here at Restore, we reached the ripe old age of 1. It's our birthday. It's our birthday here at Restore. So we're going to be doing a short stream in celebration of, I guess, what it is that we've done over the past year, the ups and the downs, the people that we've interviewed. And we're going to be highlighting some of the things that we've done over the course of a year. And you know, we're going to be absolutely honouring those that have stuck with us every time that we come on here. The people that have put money into the platform, the people that have encouraged us, supported us, left words of support for us. We're going to be doing something for that towards the end of the week, and we'll let you know. We'll pop up an advertisement on our channel. But on the 19th of November, that's not tomorrow, but the next day, which is Friday, here at Restore, we are 1 year old. And we intend going on for many, many, many more years. Even if it means that we have to get out into the highways and the byways, winning the hearts and minds and turning them against corruption on a huge scale like never seen before at any time in my lifetime. Thanks very much for coming along. Excuse me. And as I say, leave your message in the live chat. So we're going to play us out with that little song that we played at the start. Listen very carefully to the words, and then we'll be playing us out with a patriotic song. And if you do leave your messages, we'll pop the messages up into the live chat. Thank you once again, people. And that's great that the numbers stayed high. Night. So you think you can tell heaven from hell, blue skies from pain? Can you tell a green field from a cold steel rail, a smile from a veil? Do you think you can tell? Did they get you to trade your heroes for ghosts, hot ashes for trees, hot air for a cool breeze, cold comfort for a change? And did you exchange a walk-on part in the war for lead role in the cage?
we're just two lost souls swimming in a fishbowl, year after year, running over the same old ground. Where have we found the same old fears? I wish you were here.
Just across the Irish Sea stirs a heart of loyalty, raising honor and indignity, drives a will to keep us British free. Not alone are we on this journey, for in a land just across the sea is a hand that reaches out of friendship, and a bond that's lasted centuries. And its hands cross the water, reaching out for you and me, for Queen Ulster and for Scotland, help to keep our loyal people free. Let the cry be no surrender, let no one doubt our loyalty, reaching out to the brave red hand of Ulster is the hand across the sea. Cross the water, reaching out for you and me, for Queen and Ulster and for Scotland, help to keep our loyal people free. Let the cry be no surrender, let no one doubt our loyalty, reaching out to the brave red hand of Ulster is a hand across the sea. Just across the Irish Sea stirs a heart of loyalty, raising honor and dignity, drive the will to keep us British free. Not alone are we on this journey, for in a land just across the sea is a hand that reaches out in friendship, is the hand across the sea, is the hand across the sea, is the hand across the sea.
We didn't join Europe to be swallowed up in some bureaucratic conglomerate where it's Euro this and Euro that, and forget about being British. We're British, and we're proud of it. Proud of our traditions, proud of our national character.